Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to the Econobox garage. Come on in. Well, in my last little short video, I was trying out a different steering wheel, and I've decided to go back to the original one. I do have to say there was a lot more room underneath the steering wheel with the smaller one on. But it just didn't feel right driving it around, so I've gone back to this one. So now that I have that sorted out, I'm going to get back to work on the hardtop. So just a quick catch up on where we're at. I have it all stripped of its hardware, and it's pretty well ready to start work on, fixing broken parts like this, reattaching parts here, filling in the hole. I'm going through my supplies to make sure that I can do this work, the fiberglass work on the top. I do have some resin, and I can open it. I just made sure. I got a little bit of hardener, so I'll have to pick up some more of that. I have some of the two different types of cloth. I'm not sure if I'll have enough, but we'll see. And it's been suggested in a couple of videos I've watched that you can use this metal tape as a backer. And I've got a bunch of containers here to mix my resin in. So basically what I'll need to do, pick up some more hardener, pick up some brushes and what have you. I do have some body filler and hardener for that. Okay, one of the first things I'm going to tackle on the top is kind of trying to bond this section here back to the main part. Now it looks like this goes, it's hard to show you here, but you can see that split all the way to about here. And then there's another split right in this area here that goes down along in here. So I've got a kind of an idea of how I'm going to go about this. First stage of that would be putting some resin into these gaps, clamping them shut. And once those are all set up, I'll come in from behind as best as possible with some mat and resin to reinforce that, so it won't be just the resin itself. The first section I'm going to do is on this side, because this is all one piece. The other side, you can see there's the one piece that's broken off. So I thought I would try this one to start with. And so I'll do this one first because it's all in one piece, except it is cracked a little bit here. It is cracked a little bit here. You can see that joint there kind of moves a bit. So what I'll do is I'll just try and bond it along in here and along this corner here. I don't know whether this has been dropped or what's happened. I am going to have to pick up some more clamps to do this, because that's all I've got. I do have a whole bunch of C clamps, but I don't know if they'll work. So these have got enough. These have enough power in them to hold that, so it bonds up. So I'll mix up some resin, and I'll use my popsicle sticks to kind of get some into these gaps here as best I can. And hopefully that will do part of the trick. So I'll have to get this spread apart a bit further in order to get that in there and work the resin in. But as I said, I will reinforce that all in from the back side. So let's get set up to do that. So before I get going on this, I'm going to try and clean up these edges as best I can. I've got some 80 grit sandpaper. Yeah, I'll just run that in the gap to clean that up and rough up the surface a bit. So I'll just do this. You can see I just got it folded over and get it inside the gap here. Might be a little tougher in here, but I'll give it a go. There we go. I want to be careful not to break this any further than it is. We do have a bit of a loose bit in here. So I'm going to work on this section here first, up to this bit of a break here, and then that'll give me kind of a proof of concept before I get going on the other rest of it. So I want to get this structurally sound before I start working on the outer surface. Okay, so I've got some resin and some hardener. Just going to give that a good mix. And you can see I'm not mixing up very much at all. I've just got a little bit on my stick. I'll get it in the gap here. As far as I can get it in there. I am going to pick up some brushes, I think, rather than try and use a stick. This will have to do for now. And if you have any tips or tricks working with this stuff, would be greatly appreciated. So you can see I'm trying to pull this up a little bit so I can get my material in there. All right, so I think I've got enough in there now. It wouldn't hurt to have more, I guess, especially down at this end here. And as I mentioned, this is just a first step. And there we go. Let's try that. So I'll get my little clamps in here, make sure this is all lined up. And there's not actually much to clamp onto here. Maybe I will get some of my C clamps. There we go. And I'll leave that to set up, and we'll come back in a bit here and see how that goes. We went out of town for a couple of days, so this has had lots of time to set up. So I'm going to pull all the clamps off and see if my idea of using that resin to act as an adhesive has worked. All right, so let's get these off. Well, it's definitely glued that. That's glued on there. That one's off. There we go. All right. Now that has definitely stuck. Good. Well, that's off to a good start. So what I'm going to do next is work on this little piece in here. And I've got a lot of cleaning up to do inside to make sure I get a good bond between the main part of the top and this broken piece. So again, I'll be going at that with some 80 grit sandpaper, getting that to make sure I can get it nice and tight against there. But yeah, off to a good start. So let's get that cleaned up. So I'm just going to use some of my 80 grit around a stick. So this way I can put some pressure on that. keep doing a bit more on there. There's been some repairs attempted on this in the past, so I think part of this is cleaning up those past attempts. All right, I think we've got that to a good point. So I'm going to do the same process. I'll just put some resin in here. I'll give it a clean out with a rag here to get rid of any dust. Put the resin in and clamp that into position. Now, when doing this kind of work, the dollar store is your friend. I just went and picked up a whole bunch of inexpensive brushes, and I'll be using those to help me get mix the resin and to spread it around a bit better than just using the stick that I was using earlier in the video. All right, so I've got the resin mixed up here, just using the dollar store brush. All right, give that a good mix. And then we'll get it into the gap, all the way down inside there. All right, let's get this into place here. Got a bit more of a flange to clamp onto at this point in the car, or on the top. And I put a little bit of resin up in this joint here. There. So that's that part done. So I'll just use up the resin I've got to fill this in. So this is squeezed up together quite nicely, so I'm going to leave that overnight and this section here overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow and see how that's set up. Then once all this side is done with the clamps and that, can move over to the other side. Well, I spent a bit of time doing a bit of cleanup here, so this is coming up quite nicely. I have discovered there's some repairs I'll have to make right here. And you can see that's cracked on this side, so I'll have to figure out a method to fix that up. I've had a look at where the front clips mount, and I think I'm going to reinforce this from this side. Put a piece of metal in here and fiberglass over it just to bond it to the top, and reinforce that, and do the same on this side here. So I'll try and get some resin in there, clamp that up and seal that up. And what else have we got? Oh, there's a spot up here I discovered that I'll probably just break this piece off and put a piece of cloth across that corner. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for joining me. So if you'd like to catch up on the previous work on the hardtop, I'll put a link up to that in the top corner over here. And if you want to see where this whole project started, I'll put a link to that video in the bottom corner. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to share it with your friends. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. All of that helps out the algorithm and helps others find the channel. My name is Ian. This is the Econobox Garage. We'll see you next time.